Welcome into another edition of the Players Lounge, sponsored by Heels4Life in collaboration with Inside Carolina. I'm Tommy Ashley. That's Joey Powell. Our special guest today is Mr. Willie Lampkin. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about heels4life.org for you. Everybody's talked about NIL in the college football landscape. Well, this is the North Carolina Tar Heel version. Heels for Life is a way you can get involved, support your favorite teams, support your favorite players. It is the number one collaborative effort and deal for North Carolina football. It's not just about money, though. These guys have provided opportunities to go out and help the community and share their gifts with others. It's forms of community service and all. And Graham Boone and Jacob Price and all those folks at Heels for Life are just knocking it out of the park. We talked to Nate McCollum last week. He talked about being able to give back to the community for which comes out and supports him on game days. So let's get rolling. Like I said, that's Joey Powell. Willie, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great.
This is going to be a fun show, Willie, because you're the first offensive lineman and the third transfer that we've talked to. We talked to Amari Gaynor. We talked to Nate McCollum last week, like I was saying. So I'm going to ask you the ultimate transfer question. What's it been like being the old guy that's new to Chapel Hill?
It's been different, I was at Coastal Carolina for so long, and I'm having to come here and start off fresh and start off new. At first, it was a little different, a little difficult, but you know, I, I'm starting to love it more, and it's definitely going to be a great season ahead.
When you were so you were at Coastal, and we're going to go all the way back. I'll let Joey take it all the way back to the beginning. But when you were at Coastal, and I want folks to understand how this transfer portal works. Folks that watch these, fans and whatnot, they see a player go in the portal and then see that player commit somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what it was like for you? You were a mainstay at Coastal. You mentioned that you're basically a legendary offensive line at Coastal Carolina. Had a lot of, garnered a lot of awards, did all that stuff. And then you decide to enter the portal. Can you sort of walk us through that process and what made you decide to do that and then how you ultimately got to Carolina?
With there being so many changes, the head coach and like he had went to Liberty, and a majority of the coaches on that staff they had went to Liberty. It was a decision that I had to make. It was a tough decision. Leaving the guys that I, you know, worked with every single day. Grinded with every single day. Chilled with. They're my brothers. It was hard to leave them, but it was a decision that had to be made, and a decision that is going to help better my career. And the transfer portal, I didn't expect myself to leading into my junior year. I didn't expect myself to enter the portal, but entering the portal, it was very different because it was like as soon as you enter your name in the portal, you're not even on the team no more. So it was very different. Like, but you know, uh, being in the portal, it was okay. You get a lot of attention from different colleges and stuff like that. But I say coming to North Carolina, it was a quick decision. You know, uh, they have great coaches. Coach Mac Brown is a great coach, um, and one of my coaches from high school, he's on the staff as well. So that was very very helpful in getting here.
Willie, you talked about high school for you, and you grew up in Florida. And everybody knows about how many D1 players that Florida produces and how rich of a talent field it is. I mean, Tommy and Don talked about that on their show last week, just about how many big time recruits come from the state of Florida.
Mhm.
What was your earliest memory, and when did you realize that hey, football is going to be a thing for me?
I say when I went to Lakeland High School, I was 16 years old at the time. I just transferred in. Like I was playing at this other high school called Mulberry High School, but I transferred. Like I was starting as a freshman at Mulberry, but I really wasn't sure if football was for me because I was wrestling at the time, and I was going to give up football just to wrestle, and football wasn't really my thing anymore. So I went to Lakeland High School, and I was like, let me try this football thing out one more time because Lakeland High School is a great high school,
Hmm.
and they get their players seen and they win games. So I was like, let me just try this thing out. And the first day of practice, I had a great practice, and ever since then, football has been my thing. And I knew I could go D1, and I could reach heights and inspire people.
So I was actually talking with somebody last week, and he's got a son that plays locally and plays offensive line. He's a big kid. He's got similar measurables to you, and we were joking about the fact that high school coaches, if you weigh more than about 220 in high school, you're going to play O line.
Yeah.
Whereas you actually are a guy that played on the O line and kind of stuck there and has turned into an all conference lineman. We saw your accolades in the Sun Belt. And now you're transferring to North Carolina with big aspirations to play. Was O line kind of always a thing for you, kind of combined with that little edge from wrestling, or did you were just a big guy and just decided to be good where they put you?
So I always played offensive line, but I wanted to play linebacker when I was younger. But I got too fat, so I had to play. I was way too fat, so I had to play online. And I always played guard like throughout high school. Like I was playing defensive line my freshman year, offensive line as well. Then I was playing. I played linebacker and left guard.
That's a heck of a pair.
And then I transferred to Lakeland, and I was playing offensive line mostly, and then switching to defensive line, on goal line, stuff like that. But offensive line has always been, I love the technical aspect and the grind aspect from playing offensive line, because not anyone can just play offensive line. Anyone can go play defensive line and be spectacular. But at offensive line, it's going to take the grind, it's going to take the passion, and it's going to take that work ethic to be great.
Talking with Willie Lampkin, North Carolina offensive lineman. Willie, we talked to Mac Brown back in January. Got a chance to talk to you as well right after you arrived at Carolina. And I said I wasn't going to ask the most asked question, but I got to ask it. Mac Brown, when he talked about you, he said two things that stood out to me. He said, one, he talked about your wrestling career, and I want you to sort of talk about the mindset you need there. But Mac also said something to the effect that Willie's not the biggest guy. He's probably not the strongest guy, but if he's not starting, then somebody else or other players have gotten a whole lot better, because he's that kind of guy that's going to make you work for every inch you get. Can you sort of talk about that mindset growing up? I mean, that's not something that just started for you. Can you talk about the mindset of doing what you have to do to get to the top of the heap from an early age when you got into football and then progressed to Lakeland?
Like I'll say, as a kid, been through so much adversity, you have to just keep going. You can't, look back at the past and, dwell on the past. You just have to keep going. And I say wrestling has, helped me to, understand I have to keep working. If I don't keep working, I'll definitely get beat. So for example, like I've seen a 3-time state champ get beat by a regular guy, and that's one thing I would never want to happen to me, because it's like, if I don't keep working, if I don't keep trying to push and advance my skill set, my blast double, I don't keep working at the things that I'm good at, somebody's gonna catch up. And that's one thing that I would never want somebody to catch up, because when you get caught up, you caught up, and you never know what could happen. So I'll say wrestling has definitely helped me to understand that I have to keep excelling, to stay at the top.
Everybody talks about the 47-0 senior year. You were 46-4, if I'm looking at it correctly, your junior year.
Yes.
What do you remember about the losses? Like, everybody talks about, you always remember the bad stuff, but I mean, 4 losses in 2 years, almost 100 wins. What happened, man? How you lose 4 times?
So
wait, Mr. Fuji came in and like threw the salt in your face or something, right?
So my junior year of high school, I didn't wrestle for like a long time, and I was working at the time. So I got back, finished the football season. I was thinking, this is going back to my work ethic. I felt like I was like, oh yeah, I've arrived. I just won the state championship in football. So let's see. And I got whooped real bad, and I was like, oh, I gotta work harder. I can't be out here getting beat. No, sir. So, I decided, after that, I lost. I think I went 4-3 the first tournament of the season, my junior year. I got put in the cradle too, man. I was like, oh no, this is crazy. I was like, this is crazy. No way somebody's put me in the cradle. So I talked to my mom. I was like, there's no way I'm losing right now. So she was like, you got to start putting in the work. So I had to start putting in the work, to see those victories. If you don't put that work in, especially in wrestling, you're not going to win. Never going to be great.
So I made a Mr. Fuji joke earlier, but I want to reiterate to folks: this is Olympic style wrestling. This is not Dusty Rhodes Bionic Elbow style wrestling that Willie was a champion at. Willie, help folks understand the connection between wrestling and offensive line, because I think a lot of coaches generally, if you have a chance to take a wrestler, somebody that's especially somebody that's been as successful as you were at it, they're going to take that wrestler because so much of it translates, specifically on the line. But help
Yeah.
folks understand, the footwork angle and the balance angle. How much of that connects with you playing offensive line in Division One?
Oh, I'll say it connects because it's like wrestling, football, it's one on one. Like if I'm blocking as an offensive lineman, I'm gonna be blocking, the defensive lineman one on one. And like I'll say, it helps with your leverage, staying low, having good pad level. Because if I get too high in wrestling, I'm on my back. I'm going right to my back. That's an easy pin, And I'll say with the balance aspect, it helps you keep showing your feet. 'Cause, in wrestling, I don't want to have my feet, in the ground. If I have my feet in the ground, I'm definitely going to get ankle picked. So it helps me, keep my feet moving and stuff like that. And especially with like the hand movement, the hand fighting and stuff like that, helping me get my hands inside and helping me get my hands inside on the block, and just finishing.
I mean, if we look at your accolades and some of your film, I mean, I've seen you absolutely pancake some much larger dudes, and again, you're undersized, but by a lot of like NFL measurements, right?
Yeah,
But you've done something really well, and you've kind of found how to be a good, if not great, offensive lineman. Again, look at your accolades, look at the awards you won when you were at Coastal. How does that translate? Is it just meanness? Is it the fact that you had a lower pad level? Tommy and I talk on the radio show a lot about low man wins. Is it something you just kind of figured out and like, okay, this is the way I play offensive line. This is the way Willie can be really good, or is this one of those things where a combination of all those seem to be working for you?
I say it's a combination of everything, and I say my effort is what helps me to stand out because I'm not as big as as those other guys. I'm not as big as the defensive lineman, and I'm undersized, so I have to do something that helps me to stand out more. And I feel like if I'm putting guys on their back, running guys 15, 10 yards down the field, that's something that the coaches will look at, and I feel like that's what separates me from everybody else.
So let's back up a little bit. And again, we're talking to Willie Lampkin, Players Lounge, Heels for Life. Shout out to all those guys that have helped put this on, and appreciate Willie for joining us. Let's back up to being recruited out of high school. You mentioned Lakeland, high-level football. You wanted to go D1. Talk about the recruiting process that got you to Coastal, and then I want to ask you a couple questions about that Coastal career. One game in particular, but I'm not going to. I'm going to tease it, but I'm not going to tell you yet.
Um, for me going to Coastal Carolina, I had a couple G5 offers. I had Bowling Green, App State, USF, a couple others. But Coastal Carolina, like they just when I took my visit, I committed as soon as as soon as after the game finished. I just felt like it was a great place. They were building up. And it was definitely a place that I could see myself, going to. And I went on the visit. It was me and my mom, and we just had a great visit. It was a great atmosphere. The coaching staff was great, and like I was just like, let's just take a chance on Coastal Carolina, because many people never even knew where Coastal even was. Nobody even knew the name. Everybody used to call it Chance, but it sounded clear as. So I just took a chance, and we went there.
So tell me about your biggest moments and biggest memories at Coastal. The game that stands out for me is the BYU game.
Yeah, that's best night of my life, man. I swear, best night of my life.
Just sort of talk about that, because I watched it, and I know a lot of I know a couple of you defensive guys caught some grief on social media about the way they roughed up quarterback, but I kind of liked it. But just sort of talk about, I mean, you mentioned not a lot of people know where Coastal was. Well, they did that night,
Yeah,
and that was a thing. Brigham Young comes all the way across the country and plays at little old Coastal.
yeah.
And folks that are listening to this, I'm doing the quotes. Just sort of talk about what that was like for you and that program.
Well, like for me, the week leading up to the game, like I had to get myself in a mindset is like, hey, this is the game. This is the game where I have to, I have to ball out because they have the crowd. We were playing against a nose guard who was going to get drafted that year. Their defense was pretty good. They had the quarterback Zach Wilson, who was very famous at the time. But I'll say, like, leading up to that game, like, we didn't even think we were going to play them. It was like middle of the week. We're like, Coastal versus BYU. That don't even sound right. So, it was just so different. Like that game, that week, that atmosphere was just crazy. Like it was amazing.
When you got into that game, and a lot of people remember, and I don't really think it was that big of an upset when you look at the two teams straight up, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think of, when I say smaller schools, maybe G5 or lower schools
Yeah.
playing P5 and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, or even Brigham Young. When you got into that game, when did you know that you guys could play with them?
When I'll say, like, we didn't have the best first two drives. Like it was a little bit slow for us, and then they had I think at the time, I think it was like first quarter. As soon as they got on offense, they had like struck for like a 90-yard gain and scored, but they got called back. So we had to just settle down and play our game and not let the crowd hype it up too much. And that's what I felt. And that's when I feel like second quarter I knew we could beat those guys.
I love that Tommy brought up that game because I think that was kind of a marquee welcome to the big time
Yeah.
moment for Coastal on a national stage for multiple reasons. You mentioned Wilson, but you also mentioned you guys were playing that at home, and it got a lot of people to pay attention to what was going on in Conway.
Mhm.
Will, you put a lot of good things on tape in that game, and then also that season. And one of the things that jumps out is what looks like some junkyard dog mentality, right? Like just some real edge. Tommy and I like to talk about dogs, and I think that's something that North Carolina has needed is some of that nastiness. Right now, Tommy and I are talking to a guy that seems pretty cool, seems pretty jovial, seems pretty willing to discuss. What's the difference in this Willie that we've got right now and the Willie that straps on the chin strap and gets between the lines?
I say I know what I have to do. I know what I have to do to reach my goal. And every goal, I feel like every goal that I achieve, I have to keep going. I have to keep pushing. But when I put that helmet on and it's go time, I don't need a friend. I don't need somebody to motivate me. I have to do what I have to do. And and when I put that chin strap on, it's go time. It's go time. Anybody
There's your
can do it.
quote, Tommy. I don't need a friend. There's your quote.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
It's go time. As soon as I put that helmet on, it's go time, man. I don't need to talk. Don't talk to me. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Willie, I want to ask you now. I know how a lot of offensive linemen would answer this, but specifically, I think I'm going to throw you a good softball here, knowing where you might lead. Would you rather go one-on-one straight up against somebody, or would you rather pull and have a chance to come around the corner with a full head of steam?
Oh, pull for sure. Pull for sure. For sure.
So tell me what's going on. All right. So we've just established that Willie's got this go time mentality, and he's got to go handle business. Tell me how that gets ramped up a little bit when you're turning around that corner and you've got eyes on your assignment.
Oh, if he got his chest open, he's done. If he's standing up and his chest open, he's done. He better brace for contact. If he don't brace for contact, it's wraps. It's done.
So who had to learn that first in Chapel Hill?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
He's still trying.
Willie
He's still
Lampkin,
trying to be the old wise man, Tommy.
Hey, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, some people got to learn today. And, we're talking about offensive line. Look, I was one of the bigger kids growing up, and in middle school, they were like, go to the offensive line, and I lasted a day. I said, I'm going to the house. We're talking with Willie Lampkin. Back talking about that, though, and you don't have to call names, but, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, and I know you're sick of hearing it. But from the measurable standpoint, You are smaller.
Yeah.
How when you go into this and the edge you have, how much of that comes from that? From guys, you see a nose that's across from you that's 6'3", 325, or you got some other guys that are huge, and they may look at you like Brigham Young may have looked at y'all and
Mhm.
said, "These guys are little. We can handle it." How much of your edge comes from that aspect of being a little on the smaller side?
I'll say like it really doesn't come like my edge doesn't come from people telling me that I'm too small. My edge comes from the adversity that I have faced and the where I want to get to in life. Because I know if I'm just playing without an edge, especially being a short guy, I'm just another offensive lineman. I don't want to be just considered as another offensive lineman. I want to be considered as great. I don't want to just be oh, he was just out there as an average offensive lineman. I want to be I want to be considered, a great player, with great work ethic, and a great guy. But I know what you mean though. Like as an undersized offensive lineman, we have to work harder. Most people, and
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's you mentioned when you were wrestling that you just walked out there and said, "I got this," and then
yeah,
somebody took you down. Um, talk about you got to Carolina in January. Um, what was kind of the welcome to Carolina football moment for you, either on the field or off, or both? I'd be interested to hear how. I know what Nate said. I know what Amari said. Um, but they came from bigger schools too, so they'd already kind of used to it a little bit. What was it like for you coming into Carolina, being at Coastal for 3 years?
I said that first practice, I was dead tired. I was like, oh my gosh, like I was on punt. I was on I think kickoff or kickoff return, something like that. Man, it was just the pace. I had to get used to the pace of the practice. Like at Coastal, we had a like I won't say a fast paced practice, but like we were on the clock for like 5 minute, 6 minute practices, like period practices. But like I just had to get used to the pace. Like the first practice, I was dying, man. I can't lie, I was tired.
Get in here, Joey.
Sorry,
Weave us
I was
back to
want to
come
make
on
sure I
back,
didn't have
Joey.
I want to make sure I didn't have my mute button on, man. I've been trying to be good because the landscapers are outside here, and I want to make sure folks hear Willie and not the dude with the weed eater outside. Um, Willie, do you actually like being able to have that little bit of a leverage advantage? I mean, because lining up against a guy straight up, you're automatically going to be able to get under him. Is that
Yeah.
something you've kind of learned to weaponize in your own favor?
Yes, definitely stand low because I know I already have the low pad level, so it's like I'm already super low. So if I can get under you every single time, you're definitely gonna go for a ride.
So much of offensive line performance and whether or not they achieve the success they're looking for depends on how well the unit meshes together. As a
Mhm.
guy coming in 6 months ago, what's your take on this current offensive line? How do you see you guys gelling as a unit? Do you feel like there's some things that have molded with the new with the new offensive line coach? Just give us your perspective because you have a really rare take on how things are going to look this year for the guys
Yeah.
up front.
Um, I feel like with Coach Clements as our new coach, I feel like he's definitely putting us in place, to have a great year. We work on BPU. We do BPU a lot. We do BPU. We go over the film. We have tests. I feel like and what we have great leaders in here as well too. So we have Corey Gaynor, we have Spencer Rowland. They all help us, to stay on the right track. Um, I feel like this year we're gonna be, a great unit.
Willie,
So
tell folks what BPU is for those who might not know.
Blitz pass pickup, like it's like basically like we're basically just picking up blitzes in the pass.
so what's it like having a guy like Drake May playing behind you?
Hey, Drake he's that dude. He's that dude. I didn't like I barely really watched North Carolina last year, really any, because I was focused on where I was. But coming here, I was like I didn't know Drake could throw the ball, you know, accurate. I didn't know, but when I got here, I was like, oh wow, he's different. He's different.
When you're blocking for a guy like that, and it's not really just Drake, it's any quarterback that can move a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you ever in practice, you're blocking guys like Miles Murphy and Travis Shaw and Jabari Ritzie and all these guys, and they know they're not supposed to, but they want to hit Drake, and
Yeah.
they'll tell you that off the record.
They've said it on this show.
Yeah, they said it on this show. Miles Murphy said he was going after him. It didn't matter. What's it like knowing you got a guy behind you that can move, but also a guy behind you that may drift a few times and get like he's not where you thought he was. Just sort of walk us through the mindset of being an offensive lineman for a quarterback like that.
Hey, it really just like makes me. I have to do my job even better, because I have to protect him. He is a great quarterback, and I don't want him to be messed up at all. So I have to be on my P's and Q's. I have to block for extra. I have to block longer. I have to be stronger. I have to, anchor down more. Whatever it takes. I just know I have to, protect the QB, and that's how I look at it.
So if Drake May gets hit and it's on you in practice, what's happening?
Hey, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, Drake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Drake. It won't happen again.
So we're talking with Willie Lampkin. This is the Players Lounge, brought to you by Heels4Life.org. Again, Heels4Life.org. Willie, what was the biggest change? And I'm not asking you to throw Coastal under the bus. This isn't about negativity towards them. But what was the biggest difference from when you got to Chapel Hill from Conway? What was the and it could be something off the field, but what was the biggest difference for you?
I say Chapel Hill is a lot more quieter. It's very quiet compared to Coastal.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what you said in January? You mentioned the food in January.
And the food.
Wait. Let's follow that. What's different about I know we don't have a Calabash seafood on Franklin Street, and that is one of the town's biggest glaring misses. But what does that mean for you? Tell me about your discrepancies in the food from Conway here.
I can't find any Jamaican spots. I can't find any Jamaican spots in Chapel Hill. I've been to some. I like breakfast. I just been to Breadman's. Breadman's is pretty good. Flying Biscuit is really good as well. I haven't really been to that many food spots in Chapel Hill.
What's training table like at Carolina versus at Coastal Carolina?
I say it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. More food though. More food.
So what'd you do for fun off the field down there? I mean, I know what I'd have been doing. I'd have been getting crispy on the beach. but what did you do at Coastal for fun, and what you been trying to do for fun at North Carolina in Chapel Hill?
I say I fished sometimes. I watch movies and stuff like that. I chill with the guys, play video games with some of my teammates, stuff like that. I really do the same thing here. I haven't really been fishing as much as I used to go fishing at Coastal, but like I really do the same things. I started playing video games more a little bit here than I was at Coastal, but same thing, really the same thing.
What are we playing on video games?
Man, I've been so bored. I've been playing like Star Wars. I've been playing Madden. I play 2K sometimes, but I don't have 2K, but I play against my friends and teammates and stuff like that.
Who have you connected with the most since you got here, Willie? Like, who's your if you and say 2 or 3 other guys are going somewhere, who's your first 3 calls?
Probably Elijah, Amari Gaynor, Antavius Lane, Armani.
Oh man, the transfer guys got their own little connection there. All right,
I know. What y'all got y'all's own apartment complex out there to transfer you.
Yeah. Willie, help us learn too. Like if this has been the fun question, so I want to give credit to Vip on this. Taylor Vipless always asks this question, so I'll ask it in his absence. If you get control of the aux in the locker room, what's going to pop up on the rotation?
I have to play some Kodak Black. That's my favorite rapper right now. He's my favorite rapper out right now. But my favorite rapper of all time is Kanye West. The old Kanye. The old Kanye before
he went crazy.
Yeah. But I'll definitely play some Kodak Black. That's my favorite rapper right now.
All right.
What's more fun stuff? You mentioned watching TV, watching movies. If you were saying, let's go to the movies, what are we trying to check out? You're an action guy. You're like a comedy guy. What's Willie Lampkin like?
So I just went and watched the new Spider-Man, it was a really good movie. I can't lie, it was a really good movie. But I like action. I really like everything. I like everything. I can watch anything.
So let me you hit on something that's close to my heart, right? You said fishing. Describe your ideal fishing day if you're at the coast, if you're down in Conway still, because it's much
Yeah.
different
Are we
at the
on the
beach
beach? Are we in a
versus
boat? Yeah, help us understand. That's a good
we're
question.
not at University Lake. We're just ideal fishing day for Willie.
I've been on a boat, but I've never been like on a boat fishing and stuff like that. But I say ideal day. I say like go out about like I say 11 o'clock. Just walking around a little pond. With the guys, some of my homeboys from back at the coast, and really just like a little not too hot, a little breeze, Uh, got some drinks out there too. Um, just throwing the cast and just catching some stuff.
Do we eat what we catch?
Nah, I just gotta throw it back into the pond.
Okay,
All
just
right.
checking. I mean, if it
Tommy,
comes out of salt water, you can eat it, but pond,
yeah.
no.
Tommy,
University Lake, I don't know if that's still a thing in Chapel Hill. We used to go fishing all the time at University Lake. Um, but I don't, that's a long, long time ago. That's before you were born, actually. So
I do need some fishing spots out here. I don't know where to go. I've been trying to search everywhere, but I don't know where to go.
check on University
yeah,
Lake. I mean, if that's still a thing, I don't
there's
see why it shouldn't be.
Okay.
University Lake, and there's a couple of farm ponds in the Chapel Hill area. If you know the right folks, we'll see if we can't point you in the right direction there. Tommy, what I think I hear too is that for somebody that's listening or watching this show that's got a nice offshore rig, they need to take me and you and Willie out for some trolling. So we need to arrange that. So whoever's listening to the show, you got a boat, take me and Tommy and Willie out, and we'll do some damage. We'll troll for some Dorado or Wahoo or something like that. So hit us up. Willie, Tommy makes a good point. If you're fishing offshore, you can eat just about anything you catch.
Mhm.
You talked about Jamaican food earlier. If I've got you always hear the joke about what's my death row meal, right? So like, it's your last meal on the planet. All right, you get to pick whatever you want. They'll bring it in for you. What do you eat?
Oh, definitely my mom's cooking. My mom is the best cook I've ever experienced. I'll say I want some collard greens, some macaroni cheese, some fried chicken, rice, and the blueberry cornbread. That's
Blueberry
it.
cornbread. Hold on. Now let's dig into that a little bit. Blueberry cornbread. Are we talking little muffins? Or are we talking coming in like the cast iron skillet?
Uh, I say like little muffins or a cast iron skillet. I know that's probably even better.
Yeah, it holds butter better. But I'm not gonna pick. If you put either one of them in front of me right now, we're okay.
This is we got us a country fella
Yeah,
in
you
here
can't
talking
hide
about
the
some
country, Willie
cornbread.
Lampkin.
Willie, let's talk about 2023 real quick before we let you get out of here. This is a season. North Carolina it's interesting when you look at the people predicting the season for North Carolina. A lot of people want to say, Drake May's great, but the defense is not any good, or the defense has got to be better, and the offense might be different with Chip Lindsey and Randy Clements. From an insider perspective that you've got, sort of what are some players on offense and then also on defense that are standing out to you that'll make a difference and North Carolina fans need to know about?
On offense, I'll say Spencer Rowland, Corey Gaynor, Will Barnes, Tez Walker, Nate. He's a beast. Nate's a beast. Omarion, Elijah. We have a lot. I feel like everybody in offense, impact player in my opinion. On defense, I feel like Elijah Huzzy, lockdown. He's lockdown corner. Amari Gaynor, Armani Chapman, Sad Gray. He's a beast. Power. Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy is he can take over a game anytime. KJ, Hester, who else?
Willie, give me the one guy you don't want to go up against. Like, give me the one guy who you probably go up against every day in practice, and you're like, I'm just tired of this dude.
I won't say anybody, but I feel like my biggest challenge, I feel like, is probably Miles Murphy.
He's a load, right?
Yeah, he can get off the ball.
Well, we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, so it's all right to say. Let me ask you too, and I think Tommy's leading us in a good direction here. What are your expectations for the season? You listed a lot of really, um, I think, really important players for North Carolina's success this year. But again, your perspective. What are you expecting this season from the team as a whole?
I'm expecting I feel like it's gonna be a great season. Like the vibe in North Carolina is just like it's a different vibe. Like it's like a strong vibe. And I feel like the team is like so together right now. And I just feel like we've been putting in that work. We've been doing extra, and, we've been putting in a lot of work. And I could just feel like it's going to be a great season.
We are wrapping up here with Willie Lampkin. Last question for me, Willie, and we appreciate you taking time. I know you're busy. College students are busy by themselves, but then you toss in the football thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you before we get out of here. Heels for Life, they brought us all together to do these players' lounges. What does Heels for Life in this NIL landscape mean for a guy like you coming from Coastal? Now you're at North Carolina. You get the opportunity to see big time college athletics up close. What's NIL and Heels for Life mean to you?
It means a lot. Definitely being able to give back to the community where I'm from. It's definitely awesome. It's an amazing feeling to be able to do that.
Indeed, it is. That is Willie Lampkin. That's Joey Powell. I'm Tommy
Thank you.
Ashley. This has been This has been the Players Lounge, sponsored by Heels for Life. Like I said, the Tar Heel Football Collective. Great community sport, great player support, but it also goes back to Graham Boone and those guys that run it. Thank you to Willie and everybody else that's joined us on the Players Lounge. Willie, good luck to you. Stay healthy. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.